Hello, and welcome to this live chat all about self hosted learning experiences. So, if you are a professor, an academic, someone who probably teaches for a living, but you're kind of realizing it's getting a bit repetitive and you know so much more, you have so much more expertise, you have so much like knowledge and experience that you don't actually get to share with your students in your classrooms. And perhaps you feel passionate about a certain area or a certain topic, but you don't have the space to teach and share that with your current position. So you don't have to find a new position to do that. You could actually create your own learning experience where you teach people how to do that very thing you're so passionate about sharing about. And you can host it for yourself by creating a self-hosted learning experience. It's what I do in my business, the Academic Society, and I found it to be very, very fulfilling. And it actually benefits my career as well, which is like a side effect that was unintentional. And so I know probably the scariest thing about creating a self hosted learning experience is actually getting started and putting in so much work. And then what if no one buys it? What if it's not a good experience for you? So I wanted to share a little bit about my first experience creating a self hosted learning experience that actually people cared about. And so I can share a few like mistakes, a few things that I learned. So my first self-hosted learning experience, I think I launched it in maybe 2019. I like to say that I launched it with a Facebook group, a Zoom link, and a dream. And that's literally all I had. There was no fancy software. There was no like hosting platform or anything. So I'm excited to kind of deep dive into like what went well during that experience and what I learned from it. But I will start with like the mistakes because that was not the first self-hosted learning experience that I had created. It was just the first one that anyone cared to purchase. And I think what really went wrong with the other things that I created and tried to sell was that I was creating it in a silo. I was just using my own brain and deciding what other people wanted to know instead of listening to what the grad students in my community were telling me they wanted to learn from me. So I would create these things and share it, and no one would even want it for free. Like it was so hard for me to give away my free stuff. And so finally I got serious. I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to really do it. And so in the Academic Society, my business, I help graduate students with time management, productivity, also incoming grad students. I help them understand what to expect in their first semester of grad school. So, what I did was I interviewed five graduate students and I asked them what they were really struggling with in grad school when it came to like time management and productivity. And they all said they really struggled with like sitting down and getting their work done without feeling burnt out. And so for me, I could tell, this is like a prioritization issue and it's an accountability issue, but those weren't the words they were using. So I previously had been using those words when talking about what I offer to people as like self-hosted learning experiences, but they weren't connecting or resonating with it at all because those weren't the words they were using themselves. That was not what they were saying to themselves in their head. So after interviewing these five grad students, I was like, oh, they need to be able to sit down and do like actual productive work and then be able to put their work away and have a great rest of the day. And so that's when my first self hosted learning experience was born. It was called the Productivity Accelerator. And it has since been like updated, it's transformed and transitioned into other offers. So, as I'm about to share, like I'm going to share what it was all about. That program doesn't exist anymore, but the things that I sell now are directly related to this program. So the Productivity Accelerator, it was a 2-week intensive accountability and productivity program for graduate students. And it was 14 days long. And like I mentioned, all I had was a Zoom link and a Facebook group. I also used PayPal to collect payments. And so basically I said, all right, who wants to get some work done in the next couple weeks? I want to do these like sprints of work with people, but do it in a way that doesn't leave you burnt out. And so people actually people actually signed up, which was like something that has never happened to me before, before that moment. And so here's how it worked. Sunday was when the program started, and we had like a welcome meeting on Zoom where I just kind of shared, everyone introduced themselves, and we shared what our goals were for the next 2 weeks. And I like took notes on everyone's goals so I can like root them on, cheer them on. And then I shared about 30 minutes about like how to set goals and how to prioritize and how to break them down so that we have actionable things to work on every single week. Then I asked everyone when they were available to work because the remainder of the program was co working sessions. I would sit with them in a Zoom room every single day for like 3 hour chunks of time to just get work done. And we would go in those Zoom rooms and we would do the Pomodoro technique. We would actually do 30 minutes, no, 45 minutes of working and then 5 to 10 minutes of break. And so at the beginning of each 45-minute work session, we would say, all right, this is the one thing that I'm going to work on for the next 45 minutes. And after that, we check in, well, how did it go? I'm going to work on it for another 45 minutes. Or I finished that thing and now I'm going to move on to the next task. So I mentioned there was a Facebook group as well. So we all joined the Facebook group, and every day we shared the 3 tasks that we wanted to get done every day. And so we would check back in to see if we were able to do it. And at the end, I asked everyone how it went. They loved it so much. They got so much work done. So much so, they loved it so much so that every time I offered the productivity accelerator, the same people would sign back up. And it was not an expensive program. It was literally $30. And I think I gave a discount if someone joined with their own accountability partner. So if 2 people joined, they got to join it. I think maybe it was $25. And if 2 people joined, they could both join for $30. I think that was I wanted to incentivize more people to join together. But yeah, it was a wonderful program and I loved it so much. And that gave me like a huge lesson. Like, okay, I have an idea of what I think my audience needs to learn, but I need to be able to communicate it in a way that actually resonates with them and package it in a format that seems doable, right? A lot of people don't want to sit down and take yet another course, especially grad students who are already in school. So I wanted to make my learning experience a bit more actionable and really get to the root of what they were working on. Okay, so if you do take anything away from this video is you can totally create a self-hosted learning experience. It doesn't have to be fancy. You don't need any fancy software. You probably already have a Zoom account. You don't have to have a Facebook group. I didn't, right? You can literally host it on Zoom and send the recording to people later. You could do Zoom, you could do YouTube, whatever. And collecting payments, you don't have to have a super fancy payment processor. That first time, I just used PayPal. Most everyone has a PayPal account, so it was really easy to set up. Now I have more fancy systems in place, more things, but I would say if it's your first time creating your own learning experience outside of your university, start the simplest way possible. Okay, so don't think about all the software, all the techie things. If you have tech questions, ask me. This is what I help my clients with. But go out and talk to your target audience. Like, who is your self-hosted learning experience for? And whoever it's for, interview them. No pressure. They don't have to join your thing, but you just want to learn. Like, as it relates to what you want to talk about, like, what's their big issue with it? Like, how would they know if their problem is solved? What would be a big help to them? And then you can create something based off of what they said. Okay, so I would love to hear more. If you've been thinking about creating a self-hosted learning experience, what questions do you have about it? Are you feeling like this is something that's doable? Like, what is the hurdle for you when it comes to getting that off of the ground? I would love to know. Okay, that is all for today. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk with you in the next one. Bye.